Nyota stood at the entrance of Mama Zawadi's hair studio, taking in the vibrant energy of the place. The small salon was alive with the sound of laughter, the rhythmic clattering of beads, and the quick, skillful movements of Mama Zawadi's hands as she braided the hair of a young girl. The walls of the studio were decorated with intricate patterns of colorful braids, a testament to the masterful work that had made Mama Zawadi a household name in the village. As Nyota stepped inside, she couldn't help but notice something strange. There wasn't a single mirror in sight. The walls, though filled with beauty, lacked the one item she expected to see in a place like this. The absence of reflective surfaces felt odd, unsettling even, in a salon where one would naturally want to admire their finished look. "Welcome, dear." Mama Zawadi greeted her with a warm smile, her hands never stopping their work. "What style are you thinking of today?" But before we dive deeper into Mama Zawadi's tale, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exciting chapter. Nyota hesitated, her curiosity piqued by the lack of mirrors. "I haven't decided yet," she replied, her eyes scanning the room. "But I noticed there aren't any mirrors here. Why is that?" The chatter in the room momentarily quieted as the other clients exchanged knowing glances. Mama Zawadi's smile remained, but her eyes darkened slightly, as if touched by a shadow. "It's just how I prefer things," she said, her tone polite but firm, signaling that no further questions would be entertained. Nyota nodded, sensing that she had touched on something the locals were well aware of but never questioned. Still, her curiosity was far from satisfied. She decided to observe quietly, watching as Mama Zawadi's fingers flew over the young girl's hair, weaving a complex pattern with incredible speed and precision. The clients, all women from the village, seemed at ease, chatting amongst themselves as if the absence of mirrors was the most natural thing in the world. But Nyota, new to the village, couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this rule than met the eye. As she waited for her turn, Nyota resolved to uncover the reason behind this peculiar practice. Something in the air, a tension just beneath the surface, hinted at secrets hidden in plain sight. Later that evening, Nyota found herself sitting with the village elder, a wise man who had seen many generations come and go. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the village square, and the air was thick with the scent of evening fires. "You've been to Mama Zawadi's salon, haven't you?" the elder asked, his voice calm but probing, as if he already knew the answer. Nyota nodded, her curiosity burning stronger than ever. "I have, and I noticed there are no mirrors there. Everyone seemed to act like it's normal, but I can't help but feel there's a story behind it." The elder sighed deeply, his eyes reflecting the fading light. "There is indeed a story, child, one that is not often spoken of. Mama Zawadi is a woman of great skill, yes, but her talent comes with a heavy burden. She is haunted by a spirit, one that has been with her since she was a child." Nyota leaned in, her heart quickening as the elder continued. "The spirit. It gives her the ability to braid with unnatural speed, creating intricate designs in a fraction of the time it would take others. But it comes at a cost. The spirit grows stronger with each braid, and it thrives on vanity. That is why Mama Zawadi has banned mirrors in her salon, so that neither she nor her clients can feed the spirit's hunger." Nyota felt a chill run down her spine. "Why doesn't she just get rid of it? Surely there must be a way." The elder shook his head. "It is not so simple. The spirit is bound to her, woven into her very existence. To remove it would be to risk losing not just her talent, but perhaps her life as well." Nyota sat back, processing the gravity of what she had just learned. The mystery was deeper and darker than she had imagined, but one thing was clear. Mama Zawadi was in need of help, and Nyota was determined to find a way to free her from this curse. Nyota spent the next few days with her mind consumed by what the elder had told her. The more she thought about it, the more she became convinced that she had to do something to help Mama Zawadi. But where to start? The spirit was bound to the talented hairdresser, and attempting to separate the two seemed like an impossible task. Yet Nyota couldn't ignore the feeling that there was a solution out there waiting to be discovered. Determined, she began spending more time at Mama Zawadi's salon, observing the interactions between the clients and the enigmatic hairdresser. She noticed how Mama Zawadi would occasionally pause, a fleeting look of fatigue crossing her face, as if she were battling an invisible force. Nyota also realized that none of the clients ever questioned the absence of mirrors. They simply trusted Mama Zawadi's skill and left with their hair perfectly styled, never seeing the process or the final result until they returned home. One afternoon, Nyota struck up a conversation with Mama Zawadi, trying to get closer to her. "Mama Zawadi," she began cautiously, "I can't help but admire your incredible talent. How did you become so skilled?" Mama Zawadi smiled softly, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Years of practice, child, and a little help from forces beyond our understanding." Nyota hesitated, then decided to take a risk. What if there was a way to separate yourself from those forces? To be free of the burden they place on you? Mama Zawadi's hands stilled for a moment, the tension in her body palpable. "Some burdens are not so easily cast aside, Nyota. But I appreciate your concern. You are a kind soul." Nyota nodded, understanding that Mama Zawadi was not ready to confront the full reality of her situation. But this only fueled Nyota's determination. If Mama Zawadi couldn't or wouldn't seek freedom on her own, then Nyota would have to find a way to help her, even if it meant confronting the spirit herself. That evening, Nyota returned to the village elder, her mind set on finding a solution. The elder welcomed her with a knowing look, as if he had been expecting her persistence. "I see you have not given up on this matter," the elder remarked, gesturing for Nyota to sit by the fire. "What do you propose we do?" Nyota took a deep breath, her thoughts finally crystallizing into a plan. "If the spirit thrives on vanity, perhaps we can trap it using its own weakness. We need something reflective, an object that can capture the spirit when it tries to draw strength from its reflection." The elder stroked his chin thoughtfully. "A reflective object. Yes, that might work. But it would have to be something powerful, something crafted with intent. A simple mirror would not suffice." Nyota nodded eagerly. "Then we will create one, something that can hold the spirit and prevent it from returning to Mama Zawadi. But we'll need the right materials, and I will need your guidance to ensure it is done correctly." The elder agreed to help, and together they set to work. They gathered rare herbs and minerals from the surrounding forests, materials that were known for their protective and binding properties. Nyota learned to grind the herbs into a fine powder, which the elder then mixed with the minerals to create a paste. This paste would be applied to the surface of a special metal disc, which would serve as the reflective trap. As they worked, the elder warned Nyota of the dangers. "This spirit is no ordinary force. It has been with Mama Zawadi for many years, and it will not be easily subdued. You must be prepared for a fierce struggle, both physically and spiritually." Nyota understood the risks, but her resolve was unwavering. "I am ready. Mama Zawadi deserves to be free, and I will do whatever it takes to help her." After days of preparation, the reflective object was finally complete. It was a small, polished disc, barely larger than the palm of Nyota's hand, but it shimmered with a strange, ethereal light, a sign that the materials had bonded successfully. With the disc in hand, Nyota knew it was time to confront the spirit. She returned to the salon, knowing that the next time she entered, it would be to challenge the dark force that had controlled Mama Zawadi for so long. The sun was setting as Nyota approached Mama Zawadi's salon, the reflective disc hidden securely in her bag. The familiar sounds of the bustling village had faded into the background, leaving only the soft rustling of the wind and the distant chirping of birds. Nyota felt a knot of tension in her stomach but pushed it aside. She knew this was the moment she had been preparing for. Inside the salon, Mama Zawadi was finishing up with her last client for the day. The room was quiet save for the rhythmic movement of her hands as she braided the woman's hair. When Nyota entered, Mama Zawadi looked up and offered her a tired smile, but Nyota could see the strain in her eyes. "Mama Zawadi, I need to talk to you," Nyota said, her voice steady despite the nervous energy coursing through her. "There's something important I must do." Mama Zawadi's hands paused, the tension in the room thickening. "What is it, child?" she asked, her voice soft but wary. Nyota took a deep breath and pulled out the reflective disc. It caught the light, casting a soft, eerie glow around the room. Mama Zawadi's eyes widened, and she took a step back, her usually calm demeanor cracking. "Nyota, no," she whispered, fear lacing her voice. "You don't know what you're dealing with." "But I do," Nyota insisted, holding the disc firmly. "This spirit has controlled you for too long. It's time to free yourself from it." Before Mama Zawadi could respond, a sudden gust of wind swept through the salon, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. The air grew cold, and Nyota felt the presence of the spirit, a heavy, oppressive force that seemed to press down on her chest. Mama Zawadi gasped, clutching the back of a chair for support as the spirit manifested in the room. It was a shadowy figure, barely visible but undeniably there, swirling around the salon with a menacing energy. Nyota's heart raced, but she held her ground. She lifted the disc, pointing it toward the spirit. "Leave her alone!" she shouted, her voice trembling but determined. The spirit responded with a ferocious howl, lunging toward Nyota. For a moment, it felt as if the air itself was being sucked from the room, leaving Nyota struggling to breathe. But she focused on the disc, on the shimmering light that reflected the spirit's form. Slowly, the spirit began to hesitate, its movements growing less aggressive. Mama Zawadi, seeing the spirit's faltering, found her voice. "Nyota, be careful!" she cried, but there was a glimmer of hope in her tone. Nyota gritted her teeth, forcing herself to take a step forward, then another. The spirit recoiled, retreating toward the back of the salon as the light from the disc grew stronger. It was working. The spirit was being drawn toward the reflective surface, its energy weakening with each passing second. With a final desperate cry, the spirit lunged at the disc. Nyota braced herself as the shadowy form was sucked into the reflective surface, disappearing with a flash of light. The room fell silent, the oppressive weight lifting as the spirit was finally trapped within the disc. Breathing heavily, Nyota lowered the disc, her hands shaking. Mama Zawadi collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her face as the reality of her freedom began to sink in. "Thank you, Nyota," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You have given me my life back." The morning sun filtered through the windows of Mama Zawadi's salon, casting a warm glow on the newly peaceful space. The salon felt different now, lighter and more welcoming, as if the very air had been cleansed. Nyota stood by the door, watching as Mama Zawadi moved slowly around the room, tidying up with a serene expression. There was no rush in her movements today, no frantic energy or unseen force pushing her hands to work faster. Mama Zawadi looked more at peace than Nyota had ever seen her, and it warmed Nyota's heart to know that she had played a part in this transformation. "You did it, Nyota," Mama Zawadi said quietly, her voice carrying a calm certainty that hadn't been there before. "For the first time in years, I feel free." Nyota smiled, though she couldn't help but feel a pang of concern. "But what about your speed? The talent that made you so famous?" Mama Zawadi looked at her hands, now still and steady, and then at the empty chairs waiting for the day's clients. "I may no longer braid as quickly as I once did," she admitted. "But what matters most is that I am free from that spirit's grip. My skill comes from years of practice, and I will continue to create beautiful styles, even if it takes a little longer." Nyota nodded, understanding that true talent wasn't just about speed. It was about passion, dedication, and the love for the craft. And Mama Zawadi had all of those in abundance. As the first clients of the day began to arrive, Mama Zawadi greeted them with her usual warmth, but there was a new lightness in her tone. She moved with purpose, no longer rushed, taking the time to chat with each client as she worked. And when one client, curious about the changes in the salon, asked if they could bring a mirror next time, Mama Zawadi only smiled and said, "Of course. There's no need for old rules anymore." Nyota watched as the salon filled with life again, the shadows of the past finally lifted. Mama Zawadi's studio was thriving in a new way, a place of renewal and strength. And Nyota, standing on the threshold, knew that she had not only helped free a woman from her curse, but had also gained a dear friend in the process. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Nyota and Mama Zawadi only grew stronger. The two women spent countless hours together, not just in the salon but throughout the village. They would walk through the market, exchanging stories about their pasts, and laugh as they shared meals under the shade of ancient trees. What began as a simple desire to help had blossomed into a deep and genuine friendship. The village had noticed the change in Mama Zawadi. She was no longer just the gifted hairdresser with an uncanny ability to braid hair at lightning speed. She was now a symbol of resilience and hope. The villagers spoke of how Mama Zawadi had overcome her curse with Nyota's help, and how the salon had become a place of warmth and community. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the village, Nyota and Mama Zawadi sat on the porch of the salon, enjoying the cool breeze. The salon was quiet for the day, the last client having just left, and the two women were savoring a rare moment of peace. "You know, Nyota," Mama Zawadi began, her voice thoughtful, "I never imagined that I could ever feel this. Light, you've given me more than just freedom from that spirit. You've given me a new perspective on life." Nyota smiled, touched by her friend's words. "And you've given me a place to call home, Mama Zawadi. I've learned so much from you, about strength, about community, and about the power of friendship." Mama Zawadi chuckled softly, the sound warm and full of life. "Perhaps it was fate that brought you to my salon that day, with your unending curiosity and kind heart. I am forever grateful that you did not give up on me." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching as the village prepared for the evening. The bond between them was unspoken but undeniable, a connection forged through shared trials and triumphs. It was a friendship that neither had expected but both cherished deeply. As they sat there, Nyota felt a sense of belonging she hadn't known before. The village, the salon, and her friendship with Mama Zawadi had become a part of her, and she realized that this was where she was meant to be. Whatever the future held, Nyota knew she was ready to face it, with Mama Zawadi by her side. The months passed, and the village continued to thrive, with Mama Zawadi's salon at its heart. The story of the spirit's defeat had spread far and wide, attracting visitors from neighboring villages who wanted to see the place where a woman had faced down a curse and emerged victorious. Mama Zawadi's salon became more than just a place to get one's hair done. It became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the strength that lies within every person waiting to be awakened. The salon's walls, once filled with the hurried energy of a spirit-driven talent, now radiated calm and joy. Clients came not just for the intricate braids, but for the peace and community that Mama Zawadi cultivated. Nyota, too, had found her place in the village. She continued to work alongside Mama Zawadi, learning the art of braiding and the subtle skills of listening and understanding that made Mama Zawadi so beloved. But more than that, Nyota had become a part of the village's fabric, her kindness and determination leaving a mark on everyone she met. One evening, as the village gathered for a celebration under the stars, Nyota found herself standing at the edge of the crowd, watching the joyful faces around her. Mama Zawadi was at the center of it all, laughing and dancing, her spirit free and her heart light. As Nyota looked out at the horizon, she felt a stirring of excitement for the future. There were still so many mysteries in the world, so many challenges to face and overcome. And now, with the support of her new family and the confidence she had gained, she knew she was ready to face whatever came next. Mama Zawadi approached her, a smile on her face. "What are you thinking about, Nyota?" Nyota turned to her friend, her heart full. "Just about the future, and how grateful I am to have found a place where I truly belong." Mama Zawadi nodded, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "The future is bright, my dear, and whatever comes our way, we will face it together." With that, they returned to the celebration, their hearts light and their spirits high. The village, the salon, and their friendship had given them both a new beginning, and the promise of many more adventures to come. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exciting chapter. Thanks, and see you in the next tale.